Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for opening up this video. I am Kim Wade. I live in Chicago, Illinois, and I am a yoga teacher, mindset coach. My business is Inner Gaze Yoga. If you don't know, Inner Gaze Yoga, you can go visit me on my website, innergazeyoga.com, or you can find my Inner Gaze with Kim on YouTube and subscribe to my videos. You can get some of these pondering videos that I do and come to my live classes, workshops, or retreats. I'd love to see you on the mat, either in the online yoga studio or in person. I just meditated a little while ago and was meditating on the idea of suffering and the different vows that we could take in our lives, past lives, karma. Like I was just really doing a deep ponder on it. And I was moved to come here and share with you my favorite book. One of my very favorite books. It's called Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. And when it was first recommended it to me, my therapist said, you're going to want to underline every line in the book. It's going to resonate with you. And she was absolutely right. I love every word of this book. So I am inspired to read it to you because it is surviving to thriving. And I want to be here with you. I love that Ram Dass quote, we are all walking each other home. We're walking each other home. And I want to do my part to share something with you that worked for me, that works for me, and perhaps it will work for you. So Pete Walker's new book is an invaluable, comprehensive resource for anyone with a childhood history of trauma. This book is certain to benefit clients and clinicians alike. Okay, Pete Walker. So I'm hoping you have some water to drink, and we're going to read this whole book together. And I hope it's of benefit to you. Okay, I see you. Complex PTSD from Surviving to Thriving. Pete Walker. To my wife, Sarah Weinberg, to my son, Jaden Michael Walker. You both show me on a daily basis that I have escaped my parents' legacy of contempt, that I can nurture our family with love and kindness, and that I am ongoing healed by the love and kindness that you generously shower upon me. I also dedicate this book to those who, on a regular basis, were verbally and emotionally abused at the dinner table. And I pray that this book will help you heal any damage that was done to you and your relationship with food. Okay? And the day came when the risk to remain tightly in a bud became more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Anonymous. When inward tenderness finds the secret hurt, pain itself will crack the rock, and let the soul emerge. Rumi. We are all of us exceedingly complex creatures and do ourselves a service in regarding ourselves as complex. Otherwise, we live in a dream world of non-existent, simplistic black and white notions which simply do not apply to life. Theodore Rubin. Table of contents, acknowledgements, and then a disclaimer. I am not an academic expert on complex PTSD. I have read and studied a great deal, but by no means exhaustively, and I do not make it a point to religiously keep up with all the latest developments. What I bring to the table here is almost 30 years of treating trauma survivors in individual and group settings. What I describe here is a pragmatic, multidimensional approach to recovering based on what I have seen work with my clients, my loved ones, and myself. Introduction. If you're in immediate distress, please turn to Chapter 8 and read the list of 13 steps for reducing CPTSD, fear, and stress. 40 years ago, I was riding on a train in India, traveling from Delhi to Calcutta. I was at the end of a failed year-long spiritual quest in India. Instead of enlightenment, my salvation fantasy had only netted me despair and amoebic dysentery. The latter cost me 30 pounds of flesh and left me looking like an emaciated monk. Even worse was the absolute loss of the hope that had been inflamed by reading Walt Whitman's Song of the Open Road. This hope had supported me through 5 years of world travel after I was unceremoniously kicked out of my family home. But back to the train. I was sitting in my cramped second-class seat with the untouchables, chickens and goats, reading an English version of an Indian newspaper. The paper informed me that my destination, Calcutta, was now inundated with 100,000 refugees from Bangladesh who had just fled their flood-swamped homes. They were all apparently sleeping on the downtown streets in the recesses beneath the protruding second floors of all the buildings that lined the streets. I came in late at night, and sure enough, sleeping bodies wrapped in sheets, shoulder to shoulder, lined the streets everywhere. I checked into a 20 cents a night hotel that a fellow traveler had told me about. I slept unevenly, dreading the sight that I would behold the next morning. How would I handle viewing masses of desperate people, especially when I had nothing to give? I doubted that I even had enough money to make it to Australia, where I could hopefully replenish my wallet. When I finally nudged myself down the stairs late that next morning, I was aghast at the transformed scene on the streets. Sheets had been spread out like picnic blankets, and each hosted happy families. Little portable stoves produced meals and cups of tea. People bantered with incredible vitality and enthusiasm, and children, this was part that emblazoned on my memory, crawled all over their parents, especially their fathers, in affectionate, playful gymnastics that their fathers seemed to love as much as they did. I was flooded with a melange of feelings, unlike anything I'd ever experienced before, a strange cocktail of relief, delight, and anxiety. The anxiety I wouldn't understand until 10 years later, when I realized that envy had been percolating below the surface of my awareness. I was deeply envious of this gorgeous buffet of familial love that I had never experienced or even witnessed before. The family sitcoms, even the syrupy sweet ones that I had watched growing up, came nowhere near creating such an authentic, tactile representation of healthy bonding and attachment. When I realized what this was years later as an anthropology and social work student, I positively flashed back to other non-industrial countries where I had seen similar scenes on a less grand level: Morocco, Thailand, Bali, and an Aboriginal reserve in Australia. These memories also viscerally inform me about the kind of relational love I had never seen in my own or my friends' families. As I digested this experience over the years and used it to overcome my denial about what I had missed out on as a child, I began the decades-long quest that had led me to write the book as well, The Tao of Fully Feeling, which precedes it. The Tao of Fully Feeling is a companion to this book and elaborates many of the foundational principles of this book. This book, then, is my hopeful effort to create a map that you can follow to heal the wounds that come from not enough childhood love. If I'm a bit repetitive at times about issues like shrinking the critic and grieving the losses of childhood, it is my attempt to find different ways to emphasize the great importance of engaging these themes of recovery work over and over again. If you find yourself lost and not sure of how to get back onto the map, these themes will always be key portals for re-entry. I sometimes recommend that readers view the table of contents and start with whatever headings most strike a chord. Although the book is laid out in a somewhat linear fashion, everyone's journey of recovery is different, and journeys can be initiated in a variety of ways. Journeys of recovering may begin with a death, or a great loss brings up an emotional storm that opens up a hidden reservoir of childhood pain, or when a friend shares something about his or her recovery process that strikes a chord, or when a book or TV show triggers a more serious consideration of what really happened in childhood, or when something gets opened up in a couples therapy, or when a healing crisis in the form of a panic attack or a nervous breakdown requires some outside help, or when the self-medicating strategies developed to soothe depression and anxiety get out of control and also require outside help. I hope that readers will also be able to use this book as a textbook for recovering, and that certain sections will call you back or forward to them repeatedly, as over time and with effective work, certain themes continue to take on ever deepening meaning. In this vein, you will find that the table of contents is quite comprehensive, and sometimes the best way to use this book is to browse through it and then read the sections and chapters and most capture your interest. Moreover, this is not a one-size-fits-all formula for recovering. Depending on the specific pattern of your childhood trauma, some of the advice contained herein may be less relevant or even irrelevant to you. Please then focus on the material that seems applicable and helpful to you. I also hope this map will guide you to heal in a way that helps you become an unflinching source of kindness and self-compassion for yourself, and that out of that journey, you will find at least one other human being who will reciprocally love you well enough in that way. Finally, I have illustrated this work with many life examples. All names and identifying information have been changed to protect client confidentiality. In the descriptions of this video are the list of all the chapters. And so each video will have the chapters. And so you can, as he says, not necessarily follow through the way we're going to do it, but you can go search out any video. Will be a beginning and a middle and an end in and of itself. As always, may this work be of deep benefit to you. It is an honor and a privilege to share this story, this book, this, as he says, path with you. All right. Deep bows. Namaste. You are a beautiful being.